Are you intentionally living and designing your life in a way that's evolving you into a life of balance, harmony, and consistent joy? Or are you leaving that up to chance? What does a perfect day look and feel like for you? It is so important to answer these two questions, and in today's episode, I'm going to be diving into how you can create your life with design and purpose so that you will evolve into a version of yourself that when you get there, you wonder in amazement how you've cultivated so much progress, so much balance, so much harmony, and how you're living a life in so much alignment of who you wish to be and how you wish to experience the world. Living a life of balance and harmony and consistent joy is not going to just fall into your lap. Who you are today and how you experience your life is a consequence of how you've lived your life up until this point. Your habits, your patterns, your routine, the way you've designed your life have all led you to how you experience life right now. And the future version of you that you're evolving into is also going to be a consequence of how you live your life on a day-to-day basis, and ultimately how you architect your life, your time, and how you show up in the world on a day-to-day basis. And listen, you're going to get to that future version of yourself, and there's going to be one of two things. You're either going to get to that future version of yourself, and there's going to be regret, and there's going to be wonder of where the time's gone and why you haven't gotten to the things you wanted to get to and why you're not experiencing the levels of joy and happiness and freedom that you wish to experience. Or you could get to that future version of yourself and you can be in amazement. You can be in wonder of how you've grown so much, of how you've accomplished so much, of how you can live in existence with such freedom, such joy, and doing the things that you actually wish to be doing while living in your purpose and enjoying your time here on this earth. Which one sounds better? The latter sounds better, right? That amazement sounds better. Well, again, it's going to take a degree of intentionality to get to that version of yourself. It will not happen by accident. And this is why living life by design, having systems and putting thought and intentionality into your day-to-day and what it means to live a happy and joyous life is so crucial to this process. And really starting from the end and working backwards is a really effective way to begin to understand what does a perfect life look like for you? What does it feel like for you? If you could structure a day that you wake up and you're at the end of the day, you're like, wow, that was an incredible day. I feel so fulfilled. I feel so happy. What does that look like for you? That looks different for each and every person. And I'll tell you, I feel like most people don't even understand what that is. I never put 2 seconds of thought into what that was. You know, after high school, getting a job and just falling in the 9 to 5 and then using the weekends to kind of escape from the weekdays. And I really never even thought twice about how I wanted my life to look. I just fell into the system of working the 9 to 5 at a job that I really didn't even love and just working my behind off to try to advance, to make more money, just to become more of a slave to the system. Didn't put time to think in, what do I want my life to look like in the future? How do I want to show up? How do I want my life to show up? But there's such an importance to understanding what this looks like. And again, when we do this basically reverse engineering, we really want to start with thinking about like, what do we want our days to be filled with? What feelings do we want to feel? What experiences do we want to have on a consistent basis? So that, again, we can experience that consistent joy. And this is going to look different for everyone. What brings us joy, what brings us happiness, what brings us purpose is unique to each and every individual. So there's no one set thing that you're going to get from the external world that you're just going to plug into and say, this is the roadmap to me living a happy, fulfilled, and balanced lifestyle. This is a journey inside. This is you really taking the time to understand what makes you tick, what makes you happy. Why are you on this planet? Then when you can begin to have that picture of what this day looks like, what fulfills you, then you can create more impactful goals off of that. So if your day is filled with, your purpose is here to, maybe you were an alcoholic and now you want to help alcoholics get off of drinking, and you want to serve in that way. So organizing your time in a way where you get to give back to that community. Maybe you value family, so organizing time around family, maybe family trips. Again, this is coming down to the things that bring you joy. It could be anything. If you're into fishing, if you're into tennis, working out, running, whatever the things are that increase your energy, that increase your happiness, and that give you boosts, if you don't make the time for them, if you don't structure your life in a way that there is time for them, they will fall to the wayside and you'll get stuck in the hamster wheel. And again, the days will go by, the weeks will go by, the months and years will go by, and you'll look back saying, where the heck did all my time go? So the first step is just raising this awareness, understanding what brings you joy, what brings you happiness, and what would a perfect day look like for you? This is a question I love to ask people when I do either group work or one-on-one work. And it's interesting because a lot of people know what they don't want to experience, but so many people don't put time into understanding what they do want to experience. So if we're on this journey and we want to move forward and make progress and cultivate a life that we really want to be living, like how can we do it without a destination that we're moving towards? If we have a GPS unit and we don't put anything in the GPS, it can't give us directions to where we wish to be going. And the same goes with the fact that the universe is trying to bring us closer to what we want. The universe, God, whatever you call it, we're putting it out there saying, this is what I want. When we can affirm the things that we want, the life we want to live, well, then it can help us along the way. It can help open doors for us. But if we're giving mixed signals and we don't understand what we want and how we want to go get it, then how are we going to intentionally design and craft our life in a way that's going to cultivate that? We're not going to be able to. So this is why it is so important to get as crystal clear as possible on where you're moving towards. And as I mentioned before, not so much on the external, right? I didn't mention so much about career and financial goals and relationship goals, but understanding that internal, the feelings, the emotions, and how you want to be spending your day. So then once you understand what that looks like, then you can begin to create those external goals based upon that. So this is the day that I want to live. This is a day that would create balance and harmony. So then from that space, you can say, well, how much money do I need to make to be able to be afforded to be able to live a lifestyle like that? And from my current situation, what do I need to do? Can I stay in my current job? Do I need to gain different skills and move jobs so I can make more money to be able to live that lifestyle? Do I need to go out on my own, start my own business? Now we're able to formulate actual plans based upon where we wish to be going, not just saying, I wish I had that life or I hope for that to happen, because hope is not going to get us there. It's going to take intentionality, and furthermore, it's going to take commitment. We have to commit to it. Draw that line in the sand and say, this is what I deserve in life. This is what I want. This is why I'm here. And when we can remember that, when we can continue to tune into the why of why we're doing things, why we're making these shifts and changes, why we're showing up every day, when we can continue to tune into that, when we understand the why, the how will show up. Problem is, people set goals, people set visions, people set a future they want to evolve into. And you know what stops them? The how. How am I going to do it? And then there's so many doubts and setbacks of, well, how's it going to get done? And I don't, and they just let this wall, this barrier get created. It's the how barrier, right? But if you can remain on the why, if the why for your future is because I'm here for a purpose, because all the things I went through in my life have cultivated the tools and skills within me to be able to help others and affect change in the world. If you feel like your why is because you have a responsibility to create a positive impact and help others in the world, if you feel like at your core that you deserve to live a happy and harmonious and joyous existence, if you can continue to dig in and feel into that why, you will have an unstoppable resilience. The why is the most important part. Continuing to understand that. And when the why is something bigger than yourself, I'm telling you, it drives you that much further, and it pushes you through any resistance, any challenge, any setback that will come up. Because I deeply believe that everyone's purpose is completely intertwined with other people's purpose and other people's existence. We're all here for a reason. We've gone through things for a reason. And when we're truly in our purpose, we're not only helping ourselves, creating ourselves the emotional and financial freedom that we deserve, but we're also able to make a positive impact on other people. Whether you're in the space of, being a personal trainer, a coach, in real estate, in finance, you own a local nutrient shop, you work at a grocery store, whatever you do, you have the ability to make a positive impact on the world around you. And everyone has that purpose to some degree in what they do. And when you can tune in and you can start to feel that and understand that, again, that how is going to show up. So taking the time to really look, to really understand this. And then from there, as I mentioned, we can then craft our life in a way that's going to continually evolve you into that future version of yourself that's living in that balance, in that state that you ultimately wish to be living in. I have what I call my life design matrix or my growth matrix. It's a couple names I call it. And essentially, it is the framework for how my growth and development is moving forward. And it's where I raise my awareness on all the various aspects of my life so I can see on a day-to-day basis, like, what am I doing? How is it affecting me? Is it moving me towards who I wish to be becoming and how I wish to be living my life? Or is it holding me back? Is it having a negative effect on my day-to-day, on where I wish to be going in my life? The way this looks for me is I have a couple of Excel sheets where I essentially track my quantitative data and my qualitative data of my life. So quantitative data, think of quantity. So this is where I track my habits. So this is an actual numbers, right? So I have the daily habits I want to accomplish in a day, and I track the habits, and I can see I did 80%, 70%, 60%. I can see the percentage of how many of the daily habits that I feel are necessary for me to show up best. How effective am I being? How much am I doing on them? On the other side of that, I have the qualitative data. So think of qualitative, think of quality. So this is where I rate the quality of my life, how I feel in 10 different aspects of my life, and I rate them from 0 to 10. So a perfect score on any day would be 100. And the various categories for me are happiness, nutrition, how I ate, exercise, career, relationships. So I have these 10 categories, and every day I go in and I rate how I felt about that from 0 to 10. And what this gives me is a snapshot on a daily basis of how aligned, how harmonious I feel in all the aspects of my life. I call this my harmony matrix, right? So this is where I see, and I have it plotted on a graph so I can see, am I going up? Am I going down? And how is that correlating to the daily habits that I'm doing? So I can see, when I'm doing my meditation and when I'm doing cold plunge and I'm reading every day, my happiness and how I feel about my personal growth and development's increasing. And then when I'm not doing these other things, I'm seeing these numbers drop. And I can see the direct correlation to how I'm showing up and how balanced I feel and how I feel about my life in regards to the things that I'm doing every day. And this has completely shifted everything for me. This has really taken my growth, my development, my intentionality to such a new level. I've been in the space of personal development for about 5 years now, and I dealt with so much forward and back, so much ebb and flow. I would make progress. I would fall back into old patterns. I would, make some more progress, then be halted. And it was like a roller coaster ride of, trying things on and things working, then not working. And I wasn't taking the time to bring a ton of awareness into the different variables that were affecting my happiness and how I was able to show up, my energy, my relationships. And it wasn't until this year that I really have been inspired by a lot of the people that I've been following and been inspired to really take just a little bit of time to track some of the most important aspects of my life. So I took, and like I mentioned before, I have this vision now. How do I want to spend my days? What do I want to be doing? How do I want to be serving the world around me ultimately? I have that vision. And now each day I take it takes me about 30 minutes a day to go into these sheets. And that includes my journaling, track my habits, track my harmony. And now I can take that and I know on a day-to-day basis how I'm moving towards that life I want to be living. Am I where I want to be? I'm definitely not fully where I want to be, but I can tell you each and every day and each and every week, I'm getting a little bit closer to that. And I'm really seeing the variables that are affecting that on the biggest basis. And I think that, our time and the way we design our time and the way we design our life, it's the framework, it's the map, it's the canvas for how our life is going to be. It's not merely just designing our time. It's not merely just looking at the things that we're doing. This is actually the blueprint, the framework for how we're building our life and who we're going to evolve into. And I am a firm believer that the more information that we have, the more of an informed decision we can make. Now, I do get that, there can be an overload and I'm in this process of really understanding, right, what information is completely crucial and necessary, maybe what is not as important, but that's why this is an ever evolving process, right? Again, like I said, I just started this year and my growth and personal development, there's no destination. This journey is the destination. So I know, and I'm not looking for a point where I get to this point and then that's it, that's over, and I've reached who I want to be. Because by the time I hit that point, I'm going to be a completely different person in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. And then there's going to be another iteration that I'm going to be evolving to from that place, from that baseline. So this isn't about hitting a place in the future where I'm happy and joyous. This is about cultivating it on a day-to-day basis as much as I can as I'm continuing to evolve and grow into these systems that I'm building. So what I'm doing today, what I'm doing this month is going to look much different than what I'm doing in 6 months and in a year. And this, again, like I said before, this is unique for everybody. So it's about trying these things on, looking, I get a lot of inspiration for the people that, I listen to podcasts and I read books and I see the things that these high performers are implementing, these people that are living these lives that, from the outside look, they have a lot of joy, they have a good work-life balance, they have purpose, they have meaning. So it's okay, they've accomplished things that I'm working towards. What are the things that are working for them? Let me try it on. Let me see what works for me. The things that don't work, I leave them to the side. I don't utilize them. The things that do work, I amplify and I customize and I make that work for me and what that looks like for me. There's no one size fits all for everyone. It is really, truly a unique process. And I think it's all about the principles. And when I work and when I do my work with my coaching clients, that's what it's about. It's about instilling the principles of the things that have worked for me, the things that I've seen work in the people in the world of personal development and in high performance, and taking those principles and allowing the flexibility to make it your own. And that's the key right there. No one can just give you the magic key, the magic bullet, the magic anything. And I think we live in a time where a lot of people want that. They want the magic pill to lose the weight. They want the magic routine that's just going to be perfect and give them a life of happiness that they're looking for. But at the end of the day, this is an interactive process that's ever evolving. It comes with seasons. Some seasons we're going to be more of in a hustle mode. We're going to be more in a mode that we're dedicated to a certain area of our life. And then after that season, it may look completely different. And this is something I've really been learning how to really lean into, understanding these different seasons and what that means. Some seasons I'm more connected to the external world and more connected to the friends and people around me. Some seasons it's more internal and more about creating the things in my business and creating pieces of content and value that I can bring to my clients and the people that I'm looking to work with and help. So again, this is ever evolving, ever changing. And this is something that, we get to do, we get to evolve into. It's so exciting. And the further I get into it, the further I dive into it, the more excited I get about it, the more fluid it feels. Because I think a lot of people, it could sound like a lot, right? Like, each day I'm tracking all these metrics and I'm tracking my habits and I'm tracking my time and I'm tracking my finances. And if I would have looked a year ago into what I'm doing today, I would have been like, that's crazy. I don't have the time to do that. What is that all worth? But by incrementally stepping into this process, it was the natural unfolding of how I'm going to get to the levels that I'm looking to get to, the levels of performance, the levels of happiness, and the levels, again, of balance and harmony inside of my life. And I began to realize that the more data, the more information that I could have, the more intentional I could be with this process. So now it's something that I get to do. There's an app I utilize on my phone so that each minute of the day is basically accounted for. And then the end of the month, it sends out a report to an Excel sheet that shows my percentage of time that I spent in work, the gym, doing, podcasts, time with friends and family. So I can see the percentage of time and where my time's going. And, I can then put that up against and see, I worked this percentage of time this month. My happiness was this. The next month, work time went this or friend time went that. My happiness went there. I can see the correlation. And then from there, I can say, okay, when more time's going here, happiness goes down. So what if next month I bring some intentionality and put more time into here and see where my happiness levels go? So again, the reward for this crafting my life in such an intentional way is something that can't be understated, or can't be overstated, I should say. I can't. It is this just beautiful, ever-evolving process. So take some time. Take some time to understand, to put out into the future. What does it look like for you? What do you want to do? What is your purpose here? And let me tell you, typically your purpose is connected to your past, the things you've been through. And a lot of times it's the message you've been through. A lot of times it's your mess that becomes your message. So look back at your life. Look back at the things that you're naturally good at. Look at the things you've helped people with. Look at the things that you have a passion for. These are clues that are going to help you to think about how you want to live your life, how you want to give back to the world, and what you want to do in your time here. And then begin to craft and mold that into what you want your days to look like. And then from the now, create and think about, what do you need to do to get there? Financially, socially, romantically, whatever that is, begin to think about that and start to make the small incremental changes to work towards that. Again, you're not going to just create it all in a day. This is going to be an ever-evolving process that you're going to continue to evolve into. So start slow, start where you are. Begin to make the little shifts. This is how you will live a life that feels balanced and that is consistently joyful. Now, it's not to say that challenge won't come up and that you won't feel negative emotions and pain and things won't come up. Of course, you're going to experience that. But we're talking about living a life of consistent joy. And we do that by doing things consistently that raise our energy, that we want to be doing, that we enjoy doing, and that we're not just spending the weekends numbing ourselves and getting away from the reality of our life during the week. Two completely different ways of living life. You have the option, you have the capability to do the first, to live that life of harmony, balance, and in a way that you wish to be living. But again, it's going to take intentionality. It's going to take understanding. It's going to take a degree of reflection of what you're doing and the role you're playing and how you're showing up in your day-to-day world. Again, this is a process that completely changed my life and is continuing to so deeply. And this year I've really dug in a lot more, and the amount of exponential growth that I've had in my development, in my health, in my nutrition, in my relationships is absolutely incredible. And I cannot wait to see where this continues to go. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to share the worksheets that I utilize. It's the various trackers that I have for my habits, for my finances, and for that harmony tracker, the harmony matrix, where I track the 10 different areas, happiness and all that. So if you'd like some information on those, you'd like to chat about how I implement them and how I utilize that in my day-to-day, feel free to drop a line, drop a comment below, and I will be happy to get that over to you. So with that, again, living the balanced, harmonious, and happy, joyful life is your birthright. It's what you're here to do. So begin to make that vision, begin to think about what that looks like, and create those steps on a day-to-day basis, and you will inevitably evolve into that version of yourself. With that, I'll leave that there. Until next time, stay growing.